You know, we had the last report before when we had Adele on the show. Remember Dr. Genius? We were watching like how the Chinese they had like a big conference and they were showing like boxes of vaccines like it was like a new
Yeah, and he
Jordans,
was sending it to fucking South
like
America to test it on brown human beings.
sitting in boxes and stuff like that. So, but this is actually a big hustle that's happening all across the world. It's almost like if you have enough money to gamble on this company to make that vaccine, no one's really certain if these vaccines are even going to like work, but they're betting on it. They're putting huge bets on it. So you need, when it comes to gambling, the more money you have, the more odds you have. So this is what's happening right now when it comes to vaccine, which is not a good sign. So we had this crazy report that came out from Oxfam. Pretty much, they care about poor people, you know. So pretty much, this crazy ass report came out that a small group of rich nations have bought up more than half the future supply of leading COVID-19 vaccine contenders. And when you talk about those numbers, that's billions of vaccines. That's what we need to like help the world. You need billions. So people bought billions of vaccines already somehow, betting on these companies that they're gonna hopefully, you know, get the vaccine going. So it's pretty much wealthy nations represented as 13% of the world's population already cornered 51% of the promised doses. I think everyone to understand these are promised doses. We're not even sure that these experiments are ever going to work, but people have enough money to bet on it. So,
like that's the equivalent of having a company that manufactures toilet paper.
Yeah.
And then like you have a contract that guarantees that you get whatever their toilet paper is, but there's a pretty good chance that the toilet paper is made out of poop.
It's like a 75-85% chance it's going to be poop, you know.
Yeah, so you know, people don't understand that there are up to 5 phases for testing before a drug can get approval to be used in human beings to make sure that it's safe.
Yeah.
But they're skipping steps. And it's possible that they could be injecting people with the proverbial poop. But they want to make sure that if it's not poop, they want to be sure that, you know, the richest people are protected first. And, you know,
but I also want you to check this other scam that they were doing. So like this one company is pretty much what they charge the United States, which has the money to pay for whatever. They're charging $12 to $16 per dose, but the rest of the countries get $35 a dose. The countries that obviously can't afford it are paying way more. This sounds pretty familiar, kind of hustle that you hear all the time. Like,
but
somehow poor people.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
It seems like it's self-serving, but it's stupid and short-sighted. We've seen that COVID-19 antibodies, they don't remain in the body. For all that long. So you could have a vaccine, but if you are making sure that people that don't have as much as you still get infected, when those people come near you, you're still going to get infected. So you paid for the vaccine and all of that, but in the end, you still got infected because of your own greed. I mean, look at the situation that we find ourselves in to begin with, right? Like, we had the spread because of people's inability to think about somebody other than themselves. And they're about to make the same mistake all over again. And we're going to end up with more of a spread, a greater spread of the virus in the long run, because people are going to go outside thinking that they're safe. Oh, yeah, you know, we've got the vaccine. We're good to go. But you're still going to have a contingent of people, the anti-vaxxers. You're going to have the pharmaceutical companies making sure that the wealthiest people get it, but not the common people. But it's like, look at the way that the virus spreads. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you're wealthy. It doesn't matter if, you know, it doesn't matter what you believe. If you're red state, if you're blue state, the virus don't care. So if they really wanted the economy to get back up and running, they would make sure that everybody had access to the vaccine.
Yeah, they make sure those billions
of big guns?
Billions of doses. So I want Phil to drop this video real quick, the next video real quick. Take the reins of control and like pretty much drop this like next video, which pretty much shows you like what's happening with like, you know, how is this happening that only like
Meanwhile, rich
13? Yeah.
nations, it appears, have purchased nearly about half of the world's future COVID-19 vaccine supply. That is to say, they've already purchased out the supply of a vaccine even before the vaccine has hit the markets, even before it's actually being produced. And this, according to a report by Oxfam International, where a handful of wealthy nations, representing just about 13% of the global population, have purchased more than 51% of all possible COVID-19 vaccines that will be manufactured in the future and that are still presently under the trial stage. The report further exposes the inequality in vaccine distribution, even as the World Health Organization has called for a fair distribution of COVID-19 vaccine doses. The non-governmental organization has analyzed the deals that have been struck with the pharmaceutical companies and vaccine producers
Damn, they
of
went
the 5
deep.
leading vaccine
So that-
candidates
son.
that are currently in the final stages of their trial. Now, according
still
to
want the
Oxfam
vaccine?
report, supply deals have been agreed by
They put that shit in
for
her
nearly
bone
about
marrow.
5.2
God
billion
damn.
doses of the vaccine. Countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, Japan, and several other wealthy European nations have already secured a supply of a vaccine that's not even been produced, that is still under testing. But when it is
Yeah.
produced, it is these nations that have already purchased the doses of. 2.6 billion doses have been promised to developing nations, including the likes of India, Bangladesh, Brazil, and Mexico. And deals have been struck with major vaccine producers, which are AstraZeneca, Gamaleya, which has produced the Russian vaccine Sputnik 5. Moderna, Pfizer, and Sinovac are other companies that are also
I don't trust a
in the final
vaccine that
stages
is
of testing of their
named
vaccine.
after a spaceship.
Oh, so you saw like those are like that's like pretty much that's the Russian company, a Chinese company, American company, and UK company. All the heavy hitters. They're the ones making the most money right now when it comes to the vaccine. So people need to take serious note of that as we go, as information becomes way less available. Unfortunately, as you saw in the CDC, pretty much some goon in the White House is pretty much writing the shit on the website in the CDC. So as we go further into it, people need to realize who's going to really be in charge when these vaccines start being handed out. So
I mean, just look at the numbers. You're talking about 51% of the total vaccine covering 13% of the world's population.
yeah.
So in your rush
I
to be
get
greedy,
2 vaccines. We all get 3 vaccines or something like that. You know.
yeah, but the thing is, we'll still end up getting infected in the long run because we didn't make sure the virus was gone from everybody.
Yeah.
You cannot inoculate 13% of the world's population and then think you're going to cure a pandemic. Like, the fuck? Like, it's like, yeah, you're protected for a couple of weeks. And then, but everybody still got the Rona, though. So when your antibodies wear off, now you're infected like everybody else. What was the point of that?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have this issue right now. Like people so all these wealthy countries are securing the vaccines, gambling on these companies to make the vaccine. There's also this fantastic promise that everyone's making now that, they're going to have a vaccine within a month. It's going to be almost a month soon. It's like they're going to have some fantastic vaccine to end the global pandemic within a few months. So
Yeah,
if Phil,
well, most
if Phil can
vaccines
drop
don't
this
work.
next,
But
if Phil can
most-
drop this
While the
next
world
clip.
awaits a
Yeah, but most
coronavirus
vaccines
vaccine, hundreds of
don't
thousands in
actually
China
come
are
out
receiving their second
until
jab
like
of one being
2
tested
years
there.
later, if they ever do.
Medical workers, military officers, and civil servants were among those given emergency use approval for experimental vaccines earlier this year. 9 of the over 30 coronavirus vaccines undergoing human trials around the world are being produced in China. China's Center for Disease Control says one may be rolled out to the public as early as November.
China is at the forefront of the whole world in the development and production of vaccines. There are currently 9 types of COVID-19 vaccines in the world that have entered phase 3, and China accounts for 5.
Low numbers of domestic coronavirus cases have led to Chinese companies completing late-stage phase 3 trials abroad. State-owned company Sinopharm began testing in the United Arab Emirates in July. Frontline medical workers there have also been given emergency doses. Sinopharm vaccines are also being tested in Peru and Morocco. Thousands in Brazil and Bangladesh have been given vaccines by the company Sinovac, while the Chinese military-affiliated CanSino Biologics is conducting tests in Russia and Saudi Arabia.
China says it's developing vaccines for the common good, but there are a few Western democracies involved in trials or partnerships with Chinese companies. Analysts say Beijing is instead prioritizing so-called friendly nations and using a potential vaccine to expand its influence.
Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte says he pled to be given early access to a Chinese vaccine, ruling out confrontation with Beijing over territorial disputes in the South China Sea.
Yo, Beijing
Chinese
is
leaders have
the
promised
world's drug
similar
dealer.
access to Indonesia and countries along
You
the
see that?
Mekong River.
I'm
that
your
move
pusher
right
man.
now?
Is convinced.
If you're
I
cool
don't think
with
the
me,
international community
I'll be your
will have
pusher man.
enough confidence in China-made vaccines to accept them. This is a high-risk rescue operation. This kind of vaccine diplomacy is potentially more risky, much riskier than mass diplomacy.
China's CDC says vaccine trials are going smoothly and no side effects have been documented. But medical experts in the US and UK have described China's emergency use program as problematic, saying effectiveness cannot be proven before all testing is completed. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
It would be nice if
While the
Trump
world
would say
awaits
the
a
same
coronavirus
fucking thing.
vaccine, hundreds of thousands in China.
Yeah, so pretty much while Trump is just like he just wants to win the election for himself, he doesn't give a shit. China is like, they're using the vaccine as a way for imperialism in some ways. They want to
not in
expand
some
their
ways,
influence.
directly.
They want to expand their influence by, hey, here's a vaccine we made up.